Morning. Another day. Another real world test. Today, well, we're in Vegas, and this is my third time in this calendar year being in Vegas, which I don't love for me. But we're here to check out something that I am actually curious about, and that's the Adobe Summit. So we'll see what that's all about and explore, all while we check out this phone as per the usual. But first thing first. Coffee. Check. And for a change lately, we're not in Coffee Check, the coffee shop of mine in Greenpoint I just opened 6 months ago. Instead, we're quickly grabbing a Vietnamese-style coffee, which is Robusta beans brewed traditionally in a fin, and condensed milk is added to that, making for something that is sweet, but also very strong since Robusta beans have higher caffeine content than Arabica ones, which is what most people are drinking. And weirdly, they actually made it and then canned it shut in front of me. I don't hate it. This place is spelled T-R-A, but it's pronounced Ch, which is Vietnamese for tea, which they also sell. Now, while we have a sec before the keynote, let's talk about the design of the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. First thing that you'll notice is it has a more squared off design. The sides are now flat instead of curved, but the corners are rounded now. Overall, making it more comfortable to hold, and I like the look personally. Also, it now matches the rest of the S25 lineup compared to the S24 Ultra versus the S24 series, which, just makes sense. Also, compared to the S24 Ultra, we have a hair larger screen thanks to smaller bezels at 6.9 inches versus the 6.8 inches from before. And that screen is honestly probably one of the best on a phone. It's bright with deep blacks, good colors, and it's easily visible in direct sunlight. It also has a 120 Hz refresh rate for smoother animations and scrolling, as well as gaming. And it can drop it down to 1 Hz to save power automatically based on whatever's on the screen. It also has an anti-reflective coating still, like the S24 Ultra had, which is a nice touch, as it just makes the screen look even better, regardless of the lighting that you're in. It's also noticeably lighter than the S24 Ultra. All of these are pluses. The only thing that was taken away is the fact that the S Pen now no longer supports Bluetooth. A lot of people on the internet are very annoyed by this. What it comes down to is that you can't use Air Actions, which allowed you to do things like navigate or control the camera from afar using the S Pen, as well as use the button on it to trigger the shutter. Samsung told us that they removed it because less than 1% of Ultra users have ever used it. Frankly, that kind of makes sense to me, as I don't think I've ever used it except to very occasionally take a photo from afar, which, if we're honest, you can also do with your palm, so I guess that's what I'll do now instead. But I do understand people being upset with anything being removed from the phone, especially one as expensive as this one. Okay, we gotta go or I'm gonna be late for the keynote. So again, we're here for Adobe Summit. They didn't sponsor me or anything. They just know that I use some of their products and invited me out to see what this event was for the first time. Now, I've always heard of Adobe Max as a convention of theirs, but not Summit. Apparently, Max is more for creatives. Think of people who use the Adobe Creative Suite, like myself. Summit is more for marketers. Apparently, Adobe has an entire suite of marketing tools that I had no idea existed. And this event actually has classes going on at various times that you can sign up for to learn how to use them all, or see how other brands have used them in case studies, get tips and tricks, etc. Now, I'm probably not the exact demographic for this event, but I am always curious to see how these types of things work and how others are using tools to help make content, etc. And hell, maybe some of this stuff I can use to promote my own coffee shop one day. Maybe. And in the opening keynote, I learned about a lot of various tools that they aimed at various stages of an ad campaign, as well as a bunch of new ones that were just launched here. And we got to hear from the CEO of Coca-Cola on how they do some of their campaigns, which is just interesting to hear. But a big focus this year, as with most things right now, including the S25 Ultra, there was a lot of talk of AI. They showed us how they have AI agents that you can talk to use for various marketing tasks, like optimizing a web page for speed or click-through rates, or figure out a target audience for your ads, for example. They even showed a demo simulating a team working on assets for an ad campaign for their own Adobe Max in London, creating a brief, assets, even video assets from a photo, and even resizing and translating a video into 10 different languages, all using AI, and I was actually kind of impressed with it. It seems like it was saving a lot of people a lot of time, and it honestly reminds me that this is really what AI is for. Menial tasks that would take forever for a human to do instead, not just essentially, Googling things for us. Which brings us to the AI features and other software on the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra. Gemini is now the default assistant, and as I've mentioned in my Pixel videos, I like it for the most part. It can use photos as well as typing and voice to get information, but like most AI that are just searching the internet for you, it sometimes gives you some information that isn't quite correct. And I think we all feel that because of that, you tend to have to fact check it with a Google search, which then kind of defeats the purpose. But this feels true for all of the AI assistants these days. It's not just here on this phone. Still, I like using it for low-risk questions that I don't mind if they're not 100% accurate. I also like that I can, to some degree, add photos to it or ask it about things on my screen and have it do menial things like math for me. Again, good use for AI. And now it has a new feature that allows it to access other apps if you give it permission. These are limited right now to a few Samsung apps like Calendar and Notes and a few Google apps. But that, plus the ability to add in photos, voice, text, and I can kind of at least see how this could become what we've always wanted these digital assistants to be in the first place. Actual personal assistants, not just speech-to-text search boxes. It feels like we're slowly making progress, so maybe one day. Now beyond that, we have a new audio eraser that can take out background noise similar to Apple's and Google's that works pretty well.
We believe it could be a game changer for companies. We believe it could be a game changer for companies.
And we have similar photo editing abilities to Pixel phones and iPhones with removing or moving things from photos, which is actually useful to me. And circle to search for things on the screen, which I personally use a lot, also to just copy text when tapping and holding won't let me. But again, none of these features are exclusive to the S25 Ultra, or even Samsung for that matter, so they're a less of a differentiator and more a negating of differentiators on other devices so that you don't choose those over these. The one thing the Ultra does have over these others is, of course, that built-in stylus, which in addition to just being great for quickly jotting down notes, is also nice to have when using, say, that AI removal tool on an image or editing an image in general. Welcome to the F1 Hub part of the Grand Prix Plaza that is set to open in a little over a week from now, so I guess we're kind of getting a sneak peek. Basically, this is all part of the Las Vegas circuit, which is mostly a street track that actually goes down the Las Vegas Strip and is held at night. This plaza we're in is part of the permanent area that contains the paddock and pit for the racetrack. Now, the first race was in November of 2023 and was the first Formula One race held in Las Vegas since 1982. But since there is only one race here per year, currently they've created the plaza as an F1 themed attraction where you can race in F1 simulators, race outside on go-karts, as well as has a restaurant and other F1 exhibits. It makes sense to use it for something when it's not being raced on. Tonight, though, it seems to have been taken over by Adobe and all of the attendees for this event that is called the Adobe Bash, which is their party to end every summit. There's even a concert tonight with Gary Clark Jr., joined by DJ Grish, and a local Vegas headliner, Patrick and the LVB. Okay, now while that's all going on, let's talk about the cameras while we're here. And firstly, the S25 Ultra is the most versatile camera system on a phone. We have 4 rear cameras. The first 3 are the same as the S24 Ultra. We have the same on-paper main camera, the 3x optical telephoto camera, and the 5x optical telephoto camera. They're all solid, and they give similarly good results, just like the S24 Ultra did. But there are a few additions. Firstly, there is a new higher resolution 50 megapixel ultra-wide camera, which does make an improvement in the ultra-wide shots. I'll let you all be the judge though, as usual, with the photos and videos in this video, but let me know what you guys think. We also now have log recording on all of the S25 series to be able to get a bit more dynamic range out of the videos by flattening the color curve, which makes the footage look grayish, but it has more latitude in editing potentially. And Samsung gives you a lot that you can simply add back on top of the footage to get back to the non-log colors and still get the added benefits.
Now beyond that, the phone is super snappy. It has a new Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset that Samsung apparently customized for the S25 series.
And they also have added a new cooling system that some other reviewers have already confirmed has helped with any heating up of the phone in long gaming sessions. And for battery, here's my usage and screen on time for today, but keep in mind that this isn't a normal day, and I use the camera way more than you ever would. So, here's another day that was not a real-world test day so that you have something else to compare it to. Overall, it's a solid phone. The cameras are great and have more options than any other phone for optical camera focal lengths. It's snappy. I like the new design and the less weight. The screen is great. And I personally don't mind losing the Bluetooth in the S Pen that much, as again, I rarely used it. And the battery life is pretty solid, if maybe not spectacular like a few very rare phones have been recently. The only downside is that not a lot has changed on the phone, and the focus on AI is the same on every phone nowadays, it seems. And even for Samsung, the much cheaper S25 has a lot of those AI features as well. And finally, the price is high, just as it has always been for the Ultra model. But if you want the larger screen, the extra camera, the pen, and maybe you can find a good trade-in deal, I'll link to the best one that I could find below, then it's not as exciting as it could be, but it's probably still worth looking at. Okay, and there you go. Thanks for exploring with me. Let me know what you guys thought about this video, about the phone in the comments below. Always appreciate hearing from you guys. Also, make sure to subscribe and ding the bell so you get notified when I do the next one. Right now, though, I'm gonna call it an early night because I have an early flight in the morning. Good night.